This is Cosmos Soccer, live from Exhibition Stadium in Toronto, Canada. The Cosmos meet the Toronto Blizzard. Brought to you in part by the Volkswagen and Porsche Audi dealer organization in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. And by the F&M Schaefer Brewing Company. Come into the Schaefer Circle. You'll find a great beer every time. And by the Gulf Oil Corporation and Gulf Pride Multi-G, the once-a-year oil change from Gulf. And by your local neighborhood McDonald's. Good evening, everyone. Jim Karvelas together with Seamus Mallon. Werner Roth will be along to join us. And we're here in a cold Toronto, Canada. We'll be back with the starting lineups and tonight's game in just a moment. At this time of the year, the temperature in the 40s, the wind is blowing, as you may be able to tell. Seamus Mallon, the Cosmos trying to stay undefeated. However, if they're going to do that tonight in Toronto, they're going to have to do it without all the troops being here.
Yeah, they got their work cut out for them tonight, Jim. They're missing Franz Beckenbauer, Eskandarian, Denny Tourt. And the other thing is that all of a sudden Toronto has jumped into contention with some new players from Scotland. We're going to see, I think, two of them starting tonight, Drew Busby in midfield and Jim Bone up front. I think they're going to add a lot of muscle, a lot of firepower, and they're going to give them a lot of trouble out there.
And another factor to consider is that Keith Eddy, who was the Cosmos captain in 1976, started 77 as the Cosmos captain, was injured, and of course retired as the coach of this Toronto club. Outstanding soccer man, and a man that would love to beat his ex-teammates, although there really is no animosity between Mr. Eddy and the Cosmos, but he would love to do it. And keep in mind also that this Toronto club beat Tampa Bay, knocked them from the ranks of the undefeated Wednesday before last. So this is a tough club, and the Cosmos will have to be very careful here tonight.
Keith Eddy, very tense before the game. Tried to see him for a few minutes, but he wasn't available to talk to anybody, so you could sense the tension in that Toronto locker room.
All right, we're going to get now to the starting lineups for this evening's game. And again, as we said before, this Toronto club, almost a brand new team. You remember the Toronto Metros Croatia? Well, it's not the same team, ladies and gentlemen. And here's the starting lineup for Toronto.
Okay, David Henderson, a young goalkeeper from Ireland, having a big chance here. Peter Rowe and Charlie Mitchell, the wing-backs. Charlie, a veteran, of course. Willie McVie and Colin France, two tough British players in the middle of the defense. In midfield, they are probably going to start Drew Busby, as I mentioned, George Gibbs, and Cliff Calvert. And up front, you're going to see Peter Lorimer, a great player from England, from Leeds United, tremendous shot. Jim Bone, the new acquisition from Scotland, and Yves Eyre. The Cosmos side of the ledger will begin with Earl Yassin, of course, in goal. Bobby Smith will be starting at one of the wing-back positions, along with Santiago Formoso. In the middle, of course, the ever-alive Carlos Alberto and Wim Reis-Guy. And Ricky Davis. And up front, Gary Etherington getting his first start of the season, Giorgio Quinaglia, and Senino.
All right, Jim Karvelas together with Seamus Mallon and Werner Roth. Werner, first of all, how's that injury coming along?
Well, it's coming along, Jim. As you know, I re-injured in an exhibition game on Monday, and now it's just a matter of time and working on it, getting it back as strong as it was before I re-injured it.
All right, the kickoff, and the Cosmos in the blue uniforms. Marinho, and now there's Senino. Keep in mind, we told you about the Cosmos injuries. Senino is not 100% either. Very painful groin problem. He's playing here in the cold weather. That can't help, Werner.
No, definitely not. The cold weather to muscle injury is probably the worst kind of condition you can play under.
Well, he just passed a fitness test only an hour before the game, and in fact, that's also true for Gary Etherington. And as Werner said, it'll get colder quickly too, so it'll be tough for these players.
Calvert into Jimmy Bone. He's a fine striker, and Reisbergen. This is Bobby Smith. Here's Bobby Smith with the ball. So Reisbergen has a big job tonight, Werner Roth.
Yes, Bone, as we know, is a new player that they've just signed on from Scotland, and would be interesting to see how he turns out today.
Senino winning it in the air, but it's back in the Cosmo zone. Look out in the box. And dribbled toward Yassin is Peter Lorimer, also an outstanding British player. had a chance here, but didn't get all of it. And Lorimer can hit it, ladies and gentlemen. He can bomb it.
Lorimer's shot was clocked as the fastest shot in the game back in the early 70s when he was a standout with Leeds. But I talked to him a little bit yesterday, and he feels that here in the United States, you know, he's really got to begin all over again. He's withdrawn a bit. He's playing a bit more in midfield, not quite as much up front, but you'll see him coming through for some shots.
Bobby Smith now, close marking. Smitty chips it along the right side for Etherington over the sideline. Now, this field looks a little narrow to me. It looks like it, I thought it was about 66, 67 yards. Now, the book says 68. That's not going to help the Cosmos, who like space, right?
We definitely do, and I think one of the things we've been trying to concentrate on over the last few weeks is trying not to play the ball through the middle and trying to bring it up the wing, open up the other team's defense, and here we come to Toronto. All of a sudden, we've got a miniature soccer field to play on.
Evier, now he's one of the guys that came back from that Toronto club, or at least stayed with his team. Evier. He's an outstanding, very skillful player. All right, Cosmos with the ball. This is Bogey now. With Sandy Formoso. Gary Etherington. Now, Etherington is not 100% fit. In fact, there was some doubt whether he would even come up and play. He's had a knee problem, but the doctors yesterday diagnosed it as a contusion rather than any sort of tear. So Gary's giving it a try as well. The Cosmos are really hurting, and will try to hang in here tonight and win a game undermanned by Bobby Smith. Now for Etherington, tackled very hard, and they call a foul. Peter Rowe, and also someone that's come back from the old Metro Croatia club, but drew the foul.
Well, I think we'll see some good hard tackling tonight. There are a lot of English and Scottish players out here. They know that they've got to put some pressure on the Cosmos, particularly when they have the ball at their feet. So I think you will see a little bit of physical play early on.
Senino to Marinho, number 3. Marinho plays it to Carlos Alberto. Close marking by this Toronto club, trying not to give the Cosmos any room. And now Sandy Formoso. And they say Formoso's the one that fouled. They say Sandy threw his arm out and hit the defender.
He wouldn't do that, would he?
He just did it. Calvert with the ball. Now on the left side, here comes Toronto on the attack. This is Charlie Mitchell. Veteran, played for the Cosmos, played for Rochester, and he's the assistant coach to Keith Eddy as well. This program is authorized and the rights granted by the Cosmos solely for the entertainment of our audience, and any publication, broadcast, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this event, including the imposition of a charge for viewing this program without the express consent of the Cosmos, is strictly prohibited. In the middle of the field, Senino can't handle it. Bobby Smith controls it. Anyone's ball, high in the air, over the sideline. They're going to award it to the Cosmos, I believe. There's young Ricky Davis. Played for the U.S. team Wednesday night against France. Carlos Alberto. Into Senino, trying to back heel for Davis, and Calvert with the intercept. If you're just tuning in, the Cosmos in the blue uniforms, the white shirts and the red pants belong to the Toronto Blizzard. Now Bobby Smith, and it's Toronto on the attack, and Santiago a foot on the ball, but still Toronto with it. Weisbergen broke it up. Toronto stays with the ball. Alberto back to collect it for the Cosmos. Sandy Formoso, now Etherington. He couldn't keep it in bounds. Over the sideline, it belongs to Toronto in Cosmos zone. Jim Bone in the box, and a hard shot over the top. Gibbs came up from his midfield position to take that hard shot over the top. From Toronto, Canada, the Cosmos nothing, the Blizzard nothing. We'll be back in a moment. Low score here in Toronto, Canada. Jim Carvilla, Seamus Mallon, and Werner Roth. Cosmos soccer, and Toronto throwing in. Weisbergen heading it away. Evier on the sideline, taken from him by Bobby Smith. Bobby Smith is taking Evier all over the field.
He definitely is. I think it's one of we've recognized Evier as being one of the threats on that forward line. And if there's anybody that can play a striker man-to-man, it's Bobby Smith.
Weisbergen now over the midfield line to Quinalha. Plays it back for Marinho. Marinho, who has scored 4 goals in his last 2 games, both at Giant Stadium. Sininho trying to beat Charlie Mitchell. Mitchell's made the play, and they say it was last touched by Sininho. Charlie Mitchell, the veteran, made the play. Cosmos Sunday back at Giant Stadium against the Houston Hurricane. They've got to be one of the big surprises early on in the NASL season. As you see, Henderson boomed the long kick. Santiago got a hit on it. Ricebergen, Alberto, back to Ricebergen. And now what are they going to call? Dangerous play against Toronto.
Foul against the Blizzard.
All right, here's Sininho. Over the midfield line.
This is Sininho.
Sininho's pass, not a good pass. Broken up by Toronto. Sininho reached in, almost took it away. Now Etherington coming to the ball. Both clubs are really marking very closely, not giving each other much room on a narrow field.
Interesting to see Gary Etherington already over on the right side, having started out on the left. Of course, that's one of the fundamental things you must do as a wing player. You can't become predictable either in your style or in your positioning. You got to move around. And he and Sininho will switch off from time to time. Also interesting to see how deep Marinho is playing so early in the game. By deep, I mean withdrawn from midfield a lot more, with Bogey playing considerably more forward than he has been playing in the last few games.
You saw Bobby Smith shadowing Ivair there as that ball went over the sideline. The Cosmos have it in play. Formoso, Sonny with the ball. Trying to get it up to Sininho, who's operating now on the left wing, so the Cosmos flip-flopping their wings. Bogey with the intercept. A nice ball to Marinho. Coming outside the area on the left, bumped off the ball by Calvert. Nothing called. Referee said illegal shoulder charge. Legal shoulder charge. Steve Hunt returns to Giant Stadium with Coventry City, and the Cosmos will be taking them on Wednesday, May the 16th at 9 o'clock. And you'll want to get tickets for that. That should be something. Stevie Hunt's return to Giant Stadium. Right now, we're at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto, and there's no score in the match, the Cosmos and the Blizzard. And now a foul against the Cosmos. Do not be fooled by the Blizzard's one win and 4 loss record. They beat Tampa Bay, as we told you. They knocked them from the ranks of the undefeated. They lost a tough opening game here. I was told they outplayed Fort Lauderdale and lost 2-1. They're a good club. Now in the box, and the header went over the top. Header went off the top. Colin Franks, a defender, got himself in a very dangerous position there.
He did indeed, and picked on a small defender, if I remember. I think Gary Etherington drifted back into the box, or else it was Ricky. And the attacker coming up, Calvert coming up pretty smart. Colin Franks coming up pretty smartly. Picked the player a good 5 or 6 inches shorter than he is.
Ricebergen with the ball over his 35, between the 35 and the midfield line. Get it over to Ricky Davis. Back to Ricebergen. Now Wim racing. Got it out too far in front of him. The ball booted over the nearest sideline. It'll be a Cosmos throw-in. Rick Davis to throw it in. Sandy Formoso. Comes Ricky Davis. Stayed with the ball. Taken down. Foul. Foul called against Charlie Mitchell. Free kick for the Cosmos.
Okay, here you see Ricky on the ball. He pushes it forward, and Charlie comes in, touches the ball, and then he's challenged again by the second defender, and over he goes.
All right, we're back to live action now on the free kick. It's knocked over the sideline, and Sandy Formoso is pushed over the sideline. That's a flagrant foul. Formoso pushed over on the cinder track. And even some of the Toronto fans are booing that display of unsportsmanlike conduct.
That was not a very sportsmanlike play on the part of the defenders. We know Santy's a very light player, so any kind of contact puts him off his feet, but that was ridiculous.
All right, it'll be a throw-in for the Cosmos now. Again, they were trying to play a long ball up to Ivair. Ivair has great speed. And they'll be looking for that long pass to Ivair and trying to break him. And Bobby Smith, number 12, will be trying to shadow him the entire evening.
Just as Reisbergen will be shadowing number 12 there, whom you see on the screen, Jim Bone, with Carlos again, of course, being the free back. This allows Santiago Formosa, of course, to go up more because essentially what Toronto is playing is a 4-4-2.
All right, Cosmos Marinho got it to Quinaya. And now it rolls back to the goaltender, David Henderson. Still no score in the game. If you're just tuning in, we're in Toronto, Canada. It is cold here, ladies and gentlemen. But I know you're nice and warm sitting in front of your TV sets. Here's Carlos Alberto. And now Marinho with the ball. Back to Alberto. There's very little space out here. Close quarters. Marinho stripped of the ball. Jimmy Bone with it to Ivair. Lormer. Nice ball to Ivair. Now Sonny Formoso has him. The long cross went over everyone's head, including Yassin, and Alberto has the ball. That wind has to be a factor, too, because the wind that time carried the ball over everyone's head. It's blowing in this direction. And now another foul against Toronto. It's been a physical game. Marinho has been shaken up.
Marinho had been injured on the previous play, and then Drew Busby came in for good measure to clip him from behind. There's the short ball, and there you see Busby coming in from the back.
All right, we're back to the live action. A long Alberto ball is headed back toward Henderson, but it's going to be a corner kick, Cosmos. Corner kick for the Cosmos now. Senino. Over to Marinho. Outside the box, Giorgio Quinaya. Comes in for Bogey and chipped back by the defender in the nick of time back to Henderson. Bogey almost had a terrific chance. The Cosmos' next home game is this Sunday, May the 6th, against the Houston Hurricane. Game time 2:30. The first 20,000 youngsters will receive a free Cosmos color poster, compliments of Sports Phone. We've played about 15 minutes of this first half. No score, the Cosmos and the Toronto Blizzard. Loose ball. Sonny Formoso keeps it. Nice ball on the left to Senino. Senino now crosses in the box. Etherington was coming in for a header, but it was knocked out of there nicely by Colin Franks. Charlie Mitchell up the sideline. Good pass to Bone. He couldn't control it. Bogey can. Marinho for Bogey. Now he couldn't control it off the AstroTurf, and it rolls back to Henderson. Good idea by Marinho that time, Warner.
Yes, nice idea. I think we can see now that what the Toronto game plan is. They've got, Seamus mentioned, 4 men in midfield that they're using on defense. So when the Cosmos are attacking, they've got as many as 8 defenders in the box to defend against. So it might be difficult to get free for a shot, especially in the close quarters of this field here.
All right, now Bobby Smith making the play on Ivair. They say it hit Bobby Smith last. It'll be, well, they also say that Bobby Smith fouled Ivair. With a free kick, 35.5 yards away from the Cosmos goal. In the box, Yassin came out to get it over Reisbergen.
Reisbergen did very well to hold his position there. There's a great tendency to keep getting back up and be pushed away by an oncoming forward. He held his position and allowed Yassin to get to it.
Alberto to Marinho, knocked away nicely by Toronto. Marinho still fighting for the ball. Jimmy Bone has it outside the 35. His ball on the left is over the near sideline. It will be a Cosmos throw-in. So it's been a tough defensive game so far. Neither club allowing the other to do much with it. Reisbergen plays it laterally here for Alberto. Further on the left for Sonny Formoso. Now
Davis.
Actually, another thing the Cosmos are doing is by putting Bobby Smith on Ivair and Bone being marked by Ricebergen, they're also allowing Sonny Formoso to get in the offense more, Winner.
Yes, definitely. I think Seamus mentioned before, and I think with Santi's speed and with his ability on the ball, I think it's a good choice of players.
Nice move by Bone to Charlie Mitchell, the overlapping fullback. Tries to get it to Ivair, but Bobby Smith's spoken it up again. Bobby Smith made the play. The ball knocked over the far sideline. It's going to belong to Toronto. Still no score in the match. 27:57 to play first half. And now it's Formoso fouling Peter Lorimer. Formoso fouling Lorimer. So it's been physical.
Lorimer was the player, you may recall, who bundled Sandy over the touchline about 10 minutes ago. And I don't know if you'd call that retaliation, but it was kind of a rough tackle anyhow.
It's something like that, Seamus.
The Cosmos have signed a new player, Abdul Razak. He's a 22-year-old Ghanaian international. He's a forward midfielder. He was voted the best African footballer for 1978 in a poll conducted by France Football. We also have some other additions to the Cosmos family I'm going to be telling you about as soon as we get a chance here. Ricebergen, now to Bobby Smith. Nice ball by Bobby Smith. Sends Senino running on the left side. 35-yard line, Toronto. Senino. Kinaya Senino. Great pass. Shot goal! What a tremendous scoring play. Kinaya. A great pass to Senino. He took it beautifully, and all of a sudden there's no more injury.
Beautifully taken, lovely inner passing. Here is Senino coming up, looking around, slowing down, cuts inside to bring the defender in. Then a lovely wall pass from Bogey, and it's all over.
Very nice. And you notice, Jim, you mentioned it. No injury when a play like that comes up. The injuries sort of disappear.
I'll have to excuse myself. I say Kinaya. That was Bogey with that brilliant pass, and of course Bogey leads the Cosmos in assists. What a great pass by Bogey. So easy, right on the money.
Also credit to two defenders for starting that. You mentioned Bobby Smith's night pass to Senino, but also should give credit for the small, easy things that were done by Santiago Formoso. When he had the ball, instead of trying to take somebody on his own third, he made the simple, easy pass inside, and that's where it all came from.
So again, the beautiful goal by Senino on the equally beautiful pass by this man, Bogicevic, being hammered on the side. Bogey has it picked off and intercepted. 1-0 the Cosmos. 26 minutes to play in the first half. And now Lorimer just punched Sonny Formoso. Lorimer off the ball, got retaliation. He turned around and he punched Formoso or hit him with the elbow. And now the referee has called time, and let's see what's going to happen here. Usually you don't see that, and when a player wants to retaliate, the time to do it is when he doesn't have the ball or he thinks the action is away. Somehow we all saw it because it happened in the middle of the field.
Well, this is a side of any sport you don't like to recognize. It does exist. It's, if you will, the dark side of the game, and Lorimer, who's a wily veteran of Scottish football, of English football, who's played some tough international matches, you know, he's just simply not going to be intimidated by a man of the size and experience of Santiago Formoso, and unfortunately, this is the way these things develop. Don't like to see this happen, but it can and does.
And Ricebergen, who has fast become the Cosmos muscle man, the Cosmos protector, is there having a few words you saw with Lorimer. Talking about additions to the Cosmos family. I'd like to congratulate Cosmos board chairman Nessie Erdogan and his lovely wife Selma. She gave birth to a bouncing baby girl, 8 pounds, last Friday, Lila. And also Janie Slevins and her husband Dick. Janie, the assistant PR director for the Cosmos, gave birth to also a baby girl, Danielle, Monday. So we want to congratulate and welcome the new additions to the Cosmos family. Sonny Formoso doesn't look too happy about matters. All right, 1-0 the Cosmos to score here. 25:45 to play in the first half. A brilliant goal. Great work by Bogey. A terrific pass to Senino. And also give credit to Bobby Smith for setting that going with a terrific outlet pass that came out to Sanino and had him on the run, and that's what started the whole play.
It's a nice cross ball here from Carlos Alberto that we just saw. A nice long ball, one of the first long balls that we've seen so far in this game. And even with the wind and with the size of the field, Carlos has passed right on the money.
All right, Giorgio ridden off the play. The ball stolen from Quinaya. Toronto with the ball on their own end. Play a wide for Mitchell, being marked by Etherington. 1-0 the Cosmos on top. Good ball. And now it's Toronto attacking. Knocked down. It'll be corner kick. Ricky Davis made the defensive play on Calvert.
Good piece of work by Ricky, keeping the player outside and getting his body between the cross and the goal. Fundamental defense.
Watch the wind now. The wind is with this kick. See, it went over everyone. It went over the goalkeeper. Alberto clears it. The wind just carried that ball over the goalkeeper, and that's really dangerous from that corner. Some of the fans wanted to foul on Riceburg, and they felt that he held up the man. Now the ball rolls over the near sideline.
Well, Francisco Mourinho a little bit surprised by that bounce. It doesn't bounce that way in Rio, or either in the park or on the beach, I guess.
For sure it doesn't bounce that way on the beach. All right. Ivair, Bobby Smith. Bone with a shot. Deflected, easily rolled back to Yassin. Well, it's nice to have Ricebergen back in the lineup. Sat out last game with a suspension. And it's great to have Bobby Smith back in the lineup as well. Bobby playing his second game. Bogey chase back, rolls it back to Mr. Alberto. When in doubt, roll it back to Mr. Alberto. Wim Ricebergen.
See, it seems they're having trouble looking for space on this narrow field. Everything seems to be bottled up. There's not enough width on the side to have the wingers come back for the ball. It's not the type of game or the type of field that the Cosmos like to play on.
It's been very little space all game. Now here's a little bit of room for Sanino. The rocket. Sanino with that great skill. Mitchell tackled it. Sanino stayed with the ball. To Marinho. Marinho coming in the box. Cross far post. Header off Quinaya. Quinaya still with the ball. Giorgio finally stripped to the ball. Good action. There's the Ivair Bobby Smith battle. Now the long ball. Alberto trying to come back and stop the play.
Alberto so cool, though. Carlos, any inexperienced player might have lunged forward to try to take that ball away, but Carlos just waited his time, knowing that he'd have help in the back shortly.
Ricebergen is knocked down. Cosmos have it in play. Time remaining 21:47 in the first half. 1-0 Cosmos. Sanino goal from Bogicevic. Carlos, Bobby Smith brought it down nicely. Now Ivair marking him. Davis, Quinaya. Second, Etherington in the box. Shot! Wide. From Toronto, the Cosmos won. Toronto nothing. We'll be back in a moment. Game in the lead, 1-0. Marinho trying to backheel it for Bogey, but Marinho stayed on the ball. But good work by Charlie Mitchell to get it back to Toronto. Now to Lorimer. Lorimer with Sonny Formoso, and Sonny's knocked it over the sideline. That's turned into quite a battle as well. Youngsters, you can be a Cosmos ball person this season at Giant Stadium. Pick up your entry blank at the Progresso display at your favorite supermarket. So we've got some good individual battles here tonight. Bone against Ricebergen. Lorimer now is having a battle with Sonny Formoso. Ivair and Bobby Smith. Bogey cleared it. Quinaya racing for the ball. Quinaya still there. And Henderson.
Anderson, up to Rowe.
Rowe.
Franks. Evair, Calvert.
All right, it's Jimmy Bone. Evair and Bobby Smith. Bogey read it. Bogey read it.
It was well read, and actually, you know, all of that, if you'll notice, all those balls are played across the front of the defense. Nothing's going through, nothing is penetrating. It's all being played on the outside, down the wings, and across the front.
Etherington. No one on his side. Etherington made a nice run.
Well, it's not quite clear what Gary was aiming for there. He was cutting down the left side and then stopped and tried to swerve the ball with the inside of his right foot. And they just got a little bit too much under it, I think.
18-5 to play in the first half. The Cosmos on top, 1-0. Sanino goal from Bogey. Marino won it in the air. Weisbergen on the ground. Sonny Formoso. There's Lorimer all over it.
Formoso.
To Bobby Smith.
Smith to Davis.
Ricky Davis. Back to Smitty. Smitty hasn't been doing much overlapping. He has a very big defensive assignment tonight. He wants to keep Evair away from the ball. Over the sideline, throw in, Toronto. That's Cliff Calvert, number 10. Gary Etherington still doesn't believe it's not a Cosmos throw-in. Bobby Smith and Evair. Here's Rowe. Willie McVie. Charlie Mitchell, number 3. At his own 35-yard line. Left puts it up here. Bone got it over to Lorimer. Formoso playing him. Formoso made the steal.
Formoso.
Signing nicely back to Alberto. Carlo rolls it back to Yassin. Time remaining 16:45. Warner, how do you see the game so far?
Well, so far, I think the fact that we've won this, we've scored the first goal in the game, I think is an indication of what direction it's going in.
McVie's through ball. Check it, that was Busby. Handled, as you see, by Yassin. The long throw. Marino. Busby's taking it away.
And Busby takes over.
Toronto doing a little more attacking now the last 5 or 6 minutes. They're getting a little bit on top of their game.
I think after that goal, we've sort of dropped back a bit. You know, a 1-0 lead is always good to have, and now we can sort of play a more confident, a more determined kind of soccer. In the first few minutes, it was rather haphazard due to the wind, I think, and to the size of the field.
There's Bone and Weisbergen.
Weisbergen just doesn't give you any space, does he? He never allows a player to turn on him. He never allows him to get an extra step.
Gary Etherington coming in the middle of the field. Back to Giorgio. Bogey had to get rid of it right away. Ricky Davis. Formoso. Sani. Nice move. Back to Bogey. Again, you see the Toronto players not giving the Cosmos any space at all, which is a good way to play, especially the Cosmos with all their skill.
Now it's Marino with it.
See, this is what we want to do. We want to maintain control of the ball, maintain possession.
Ryder Sanino now. Looking in the box. There's right on goal. Henderson, easy save. It seems to me that Toronto is not completely comfortable on AstroTurf, because you have a lot of English and Scottish players here that have never played on AstroTurf. And the Cosmos, of course, very used to it. A couple of the bounces, Seamus, I think have surprised Toronto. Weisbergen just nailed Bone again. Well, he didn't nail him, but he let him know that he was watching him.
Just gave him a little push there. Unfortunately, the referee was right in the vicinity, so it was very quickly picked up.
I think Bone has an indication that Weisbergen's in the park.
Blizzard free kick will be taken by Colin Franks.
Colin Franks with a free kick, about 10 yards shy of the midfield line. Again, now he's kicking it into a crosswind now. It's got to really be tough with balls in the air. Excuse me, Seamus,
Yeah.
with this kind of wind.
Definitely, especially in the defense when you're going up for the ball and you try to get some timing on it and you don't know whether it's going to hold up on you or if it's going to go a little further. I think we noticed some of the cross balls into the penalty area can be very dangerous play tonight.
Marinho with a steal. Marinho with a hard shot. What a shot by Marinho. And it almost knocked Henderson over. From Toronto, the Cosmos up 1-0. We'll be back in a moment. Christian Stadium here in Toronto, Canada. Jim Carvelis together with Seamus Mallon, Warner Roth. And the Cosmos still on top, 1-0 on a Sanino goal. Steve Hunt returns to Giant Stadium. But this time he's not going to be returning with the Cosmos, with Coventry City of England. They'll be here on the 16th. That's a week from Wednesday. May 16th, 9 o'clock, Giant Stadium. And if you don't know much about Coventry City, they're in the top half of the English First Division, one of the best First Divisions in the whole world. So you know they're a fine club, and it should be some night. Nice ball to Riceberg, and a little bit of space. Good distribution here. Now Sanino around his man. Passed it in front. A shot by Marinho. Cosmos are really playing tough defensively as well, Warner. I mean, they're really not allowing Toronto much room and forcing them into defensive mistakes that are starting attacks.
Definitely. Not only that, not only in the defense, but in midfield defensively we're playing well with Marinho coming back and bringing the ball out of our defensive end. But you're also seeing players like Gary there playing a hard type of game. And the way this game has gone so far, that's what we're going to have to do to stay in it.
Ivair is knocked down, a foul against the Cosmos. 11:08 to play in the first half. Cosmos on top 1-0. Sunday, the Houston Hurricane in town. 2:30 Giant Stadium. Kyle Rowe Jr. Haskivi, Kai Haskivi. They've been a surprise club in the NASL. There's been a lot of surprises, Seamus. A lot more balance in the league this year.
Well, Houston has had a great start. They themselves got a rather rude surprise, as you may recall, last weekend when they blew into Chicago and were handed a 5-2 loss. But that Chicago club is nothing to sneeze at either.
Fine team.
A lot of tough opposition out there this year.
Bobby Smith, his header for Ricky Davis, who's taken down from behind by Rowe. And now Quinaya just pushed Rowe. Now Quinaya acting as a policeman. He didn't like the way Rowe took Ricky Davis down.
Well, Rowe and Lorimer, and I might add Gibbs, George Gibbs, who we haven't talked about very much, have been dishing it out pretty liberally down there. And Bogey has been keeping his cool pretty well, but Giorgio does not like to see some of those younger players getting some harsh treatment, and he's going to step in and let them know. You'll have to deal with him too.
Marinho in the box, headed out. Sally Mitchell is going to be out of bounds over the near sideline, throw in the Cosmos.
Notice how Riceberg and Ann Smith both put pressure on their particular players all over the field. Even down in the attacking third of the field, they'll come down and they won't let those players get out very easily.
Yes, drops it back.
Cosmos applying pressure all over the field. Look at Sanino coming back to play defense. Now it's Busby. Gibbs with the ball, plays it back for Rowe. Midfield line, right sideline.
Headed away by Davis.
Ricky Davis made the defensive play. It's been a tough physical game in the first half. In the box, outside the box. Formoso deflected away from Ivair. Charlie Mitchell. Lorimer played by Bobby Smith now. Ivair. And Ivair missed it badly.
Ivair's had a bit of bad luck on his shots. He's taken about 3 or 4 shots so far, and most of them have been rather hard and high and wide. I don't know whether he's having trouble with the surface or what, but he seems to be having a tough time shooting on goal.
I think this is, from what I've seen this season, Jim, so far, been among the better defensive efforts of the Cosmos in that they're retreating very well centrally. They're cutting down a lot of the danger in the middle of the field and forcing these long shots or these hoped for long balls from outside, which really aren't very dangerous at all.
Ricky Davis made the play.
It's nice to see that defensive effort there, Seamus, isn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, it's absolutely vital. They want to go all the way again this year. That's the most, I would say, the most important factor of the game, although it's more fashionable, of course, say that midfield and scoring and so forth.
Marinho. Pass for Bogey broken up. Bobby Smith with the ball. Play back for Santi. Time remaining, 7:59. You want to stay tuned at halftime for some features. Werner Roth, a talk with Wim Ricebergen. Cosmos throw-in. Cosmos have scored the only goal, and they've had the best chances. They've missed 2 or 3 others. Bogey fouled Gibbs at midfield. We'll have the goal of the week also at halftime. With Paul Gardner narrating. Speaking of Paul Gardner, I think we ought to wish ABC Television all the luck for their initial telecast coming up in Tampa, the Cosmos in Tampa Bay. Still in the box. And Alberto just volleys it out. Nothing fancy there. Just get it out. Again, we want to wish them all the luck. Jim McKay and Vern Lundquist and Paul Gardner. Our own Pele will be involved. And we hope they present the game as well as ABC's presented all other sports that they've ventured into. Now Ricky Davis. To Gary Etherington. Cosmos have turned it right around. Davis. Now the ball came back to Henderson.
Well, a rather dangerous pass there by Gary, what the players call a suicide pass. In other words, just too short a ball and very tough for Ricky to get.
Time remaining, 6:13 in the first half. The Cosmos on top, 1-0 over the Toronto Blizzard. And now the whistle and a pushing foul against the Cosmos.
Free kick, Blizzard.
Free kick, Blizzard. Blizzard's opening game in this exhibition stadium where the Toronto Blue Jays play. They drew over 18,000 in a blizzard. They had a snowstorm. This is going to be a very good franchise, I believe.
It'll be taken by Peter Lorimer.
Lorimer. Oh, I'll tell you what. Bogey made a great play. Bogey made a really good play. They called goal kick, and the Cosmos got the benefit of that call because Bogey, at the last moment, headed that away. A Toronto player was coming in on the far post, and it could have really been dangerous.
Yeah, that was a good play all around. Bogey heading the ball out, and the referee awarding us the ball. It's nice to see that once in a while.
Bogey also giving a little bit of a slight shove to the player near him, but the referee allowing it to go because there's a certain amount of pushing and shoving that always goes on, and you just simply can't call the very small ones.
Look at that Bogey pass. Just brilliant. Took it down, that talented left foot. Hit Ricky Davis. Ricky Davis, that long cross in the wind, and now it's going to be a goal kick. Ricky Davis, Seamus and Werner, I think is improving every game.
He definitely is. He's taking command out there, and he's playing like one of the big stars from Europe. It's nice to see.
And let's give Franz Beckenbauer some credit, too, because Franz, as he helped you, I know a lot, Werner, is taking Ricky Davis on as kind of a personal job, and he's done a great job with Ricky. Good defensive play by the Cosmos again. Bobby Smith, Marinho. Trying to get it to Bogey, was running in space. Blizzard lose the ball. Ricky Davis offside. Bogey offside.
a nice piece of work there by McVie, the central defender, the sweeper, who allowed Bogey a little space there so that the pass looked to be on. But he was really ghosting, really hiding a little bit behind Franks. And as soon as the ball was released to Bogey, he very quickly slipped into the open space and cleared it away. And that's smart play. You like to see defenders and midfield players using their intelligence and playing a little cat and mouse game.
Play made by the Cosmos defense again. It's been a brilliant Cosmos defense here in the first half. Bogey. And they finally call a foul. If you're just tuning in, the Cosmos on top 1-0. The goal by Senino. The assist to Bogicevic. Franz Beckenbauer back in New York watching the game with a contusion of the knee. He'll probably be out for a couple of more games. Dennis Tuort with his familiar Achilles problem. I'm told that Tuort will play Sunday, though, against Houston. Eskandarian also back in New York. So the Cosmos playing without some of their stars, but again getting a great performance off the bench. One 0 Cosmos. 2 minutes, 25 seconds to play in the half. Peter Lorimer. Reisbergen knocked it away again from Bones. Bones had a tough first half having to contend with Mr. Reisbergen.
Well, the thing about Reisbergen is not only does he put the pressure on you from the back, as a lot of defenders will do, but he also manages uncannily to get his boot around the defender and just stab at that ball all the time. So it's very hard to shield the ball away from him.
Alberto Reisbergen. Lorimer intercepted his header. And now here's Jimmy Bones. Good ball, but a roll right by Gibbs.
Gary Etherington for the Cosmos.
Bogey, beautiful little chip. Ricky Davis brought it under control. In Toronto zone. Davis, good ball, Etherington. Gary. Time remaining a minute 25.
Now Lorimer for Toronto.
Lorimer stolen by Senino. Cosmos are beating Toronto to the ball. They're winning almost every 50-50 ball.
Well, I hate to say this, but for a player of his class and experience, Peter Lorimer is showing me very little tonight. In fact, I would hazard a guess that he's not in very good physical shape. He's not running very well.
Looks like he's got a little bit of a thick middle there. But we better not say that too loud because he'll probably end up knocking in a 30-yard goal. Alberto broke it up. Etherington couldn't clear it. Ivair, and it's a good thing Bobby Smith was there again.
Bobby Smith seems to be in the right spot at the right time tonight, and he's really been all over Ivair. He's got cut in front of him to break up plays. He's been beating him on the headers. He's been all over the place.
All right, keep in mind the wind. The ball to the near post. Yassin made a great play to punch it away from Ivair. Time remaining 16 seconds. Fine play by Yassin. He just came out because Ivair had come free in front. It's Yassin. Marinho with the ball with 3 seconds in the clock. The official time kept by the referee. Bogey back to Yassin. And now the referee says that is the end of the first half with a score. The Cosmos 1, Toronto Blizzard 0. So the Cosmos on a beautiful goal. Senino, an equally beautiful assist from Bogey. Leave the field with a 1-0 lead here at halftime.
Each week, Budweiser presents the Goal of the Week, selected by Paul Gardner, editor of Soccer Express magazine, from the past week's NASL action.
This is Paul Gardner. This week we're at RFK Stadium in Washington, where the Washington Diplomats are taking on the talent-laden New York Cosmos. The second half has just begun. The fans have just about got back into their seats when they saw this.
What he wants done out there, I'm sure what they're going to look for is a lot more movement up front, movement like this.
All right, Quinaglia, hard shot and a goal!
What a great
tremendous goal by Quinaglia!
Giorgio Quinaglia going into his war dance, another goal, keeping up his average of 1 goal a game. This one a real beauty. Started in midfield. Bogicevic here. Controlling the ball, looks up, sees Quinaglia, and a sort of chip pass over the heads of defenders here. You see them converging on him. Quinaglia strikes it first time, a tremendous volley, dipping and swerving. Poor Bill Irwin in the Washington goal. No idea what was going on there at all.
Pronunciation of the name is Reisbergen. He's, as most of you people know, one of our newest acquisitions to the Cosmos defense. Wim, I'd like to talk to you a little bit tonight about your style of play, and do you think that, I know you like to play a hard physical type of play, but when necessary you also know how to attack with the ball. Have you had to change your style much or at all to play with the Cosmos against other NASL teams?
No. I have my own style, and all the players in the Cosmos team have their own style. And if you have a style of playing, you never change the style. But I think you must know what you have to do for your team,
and what your strengths are, and
what your strengths are. And if you're not so good in some kind of thing, you don't do it, because then you are in trouble.
Yes. The Cosmos tonight are going into the game with some injuries. Franz is not going to be playing because of a knee injury. Dennis Tuert is not playing. There are a few players that will be out. How are you going into today's game? With what kind of an attitude?
The same as every game, but all the teams who play against the Cosmos, they play for 150%. So every game is a very, very tough game, and we have to win here in Toronto because we need the points.
Is there any pressure because we've been undefeated in the last 5 games? Any pressure to try to keep the winning streak going?
Sure, because we are the champions at this moment, and we have to win if we are champion for the next time. So
we have to keep that winning streak going.
Yeah, sure. And also with the players we have, and also without the players who don't play.
Thanks very much, Wim.
Okay.
Now back to you, Jim.
It's hard to replace Franz, and as you say, you compensate by more tight play, by more teamwork.
Bobby Smith. And let's not forget the job that Bobby Smith has done on Ivair, Reisbergen on Bone. Sonny Formoso has done a fine job on Peter Lorimer.
Tough call there on Bobby. He felt Ivair was backing into him while he was trying to play the ball in the air, but the referee called Bobby for holding off Ivair.
All right, free kick. Lorimer. Referee wants the Cosmos 2-man wall to give him 10 yards. Yassin punched it out. There's a shot. Still in the area, finally cleared by Bogey. So Toronto looking dangerous on that free kick. Man open. Bone played it to the right, though. Far post, Yassin made the play. I'm surprised Bone played that off. He had a little bit of space in there, Warner and Seamus, and he played it off.
Yeah, I'm very surprised at that, too. I was just thinking that he had a good chance. There you see he has laid it off already, and now a very tough ball to be cut back by Gibbs.
I think he had a sort of a bad angle to continue going with the ball a little bit, and he might have thought that the 2 players coming in on Yassin might have a chance of getting to it before Yassin does.
Etherington taken down. Sandy Formoso being belabored. Now Reisbergen finds a lot of room. Reisbergen unmarked. Intending it for Sanino. Giorgio keeping it alive in the box and roll back to Henderson.
Reisbergen found a lot of room for the simple reason that Bogey made a wonderful diagonal run from right to left across the penalty area and pulled Gibbs right out of the center, leaving that huge space in the middle. Unfortunately, Reisbergen's pass was a little bit off. Otherwise, it was a great chance.
that's where you see the importance of running off the ball, Seamus, which is something that we haven't been doing very much of in the past few games, and I think we're starting to do a bit more of it in this game, creating space for the player with the ball.
Bogey took that good pass from Ricky Davis, try to hit Kinaya.
But again, well read by Franks, who saw that coming and cut in very nicely behind Giorgio as McVie was in front of him. Giorgio double-teamed on that one.
1-0 the Cosmos, 42-19 to play in the game. Exhibition Stadium, Toronto, Canada. Cosmos Soccer. Cosmos 5-0, the only undefeated team in the North American Soccer League. Playing tonight without Beckenbauer and Denny Truitt. I'm told that Denny will be in the lineup Sunday. Hard shot. Going wide. Shot taken by Drew Busby. Errol Yassin. He's had an outstanding year in the goal, Werner.
He has. I think he's improved on one of the weaknesses that he's had, which is in the air.
All right, Cosmos on top, 1-0 in Toronto. We'll be back in a moment. In the box, Yassin, nice play. Yassin took it away from Busby, and now Busby's venturing forward, Seamus, in that box a lot from his midfield position.
That's right, and actually I think Lorimer has gone forward more, has almost taken up a classic outside right wing position. So maybe that's the message at halftime. They're going to put more players forward and try to get some chances up front.
And the Cosmos will be looking for their specialty, the quick counterattack, maybe hoping Toronto gets too many people forward. Now they call a foul on Bogey. The Cosmos wish to acknowledge Joe Manfredi and Safe Auto Sales, dealership of the Cosmos, the Bahamas Princess Hotel, official training site of the Cosmos, and Admiral Sportswear, whose uniform is the official team uniform of the Cosmos, all for their continued support. All right, the free kick. Now Lorimer has a thunderous shot. Calvert is over there as well. Let's see if they tee it up. They do. Shot is knocked down and cleared by Bobby Smith. Oh, what a collision. Etherington is up. He's all right. I don't know how he can be all right. He was really dazed. You could see that coming.
You could see it coming. Unfortunately, Gary couldn't. Not much you could have done about it anyhow. It was a fair play, nothing illegal about it. Blair went up and did head the ball and just came down very hard on Gary.
Evair with Bobby Smith. They play it back. Charlie Mitchell. Toronto. Evair heads it right to Yassin. No problem. No doubt about it, gentlemen. Toronto, much more aggressive club here in the second half. They're creating chances.
Yeah, they're pushing it down the side now, as I was hoping the Cosmos might, and they're bringing some players up on the other side. You see this player, number 15, who is Drew Busby, coming up in the middle of the field, and they're a nice header by Evair.
And very few times today that Evair's had space. Marinho with the ball in his own box. Marinho clears it to midfield. What's happened here is that Toronto now is controlling the middle of the park. They're controlling midfield. Over Bobby Smith's head, but luckily it went over Gibbs' head as well. A lot of pressure from Toronto now. Again in the box. Again a header on goal. And Ricebergen bothered Bone just enough to keep that out of the net. Marinho, Bogey. The fans here, a good crowd in Toronto tonight. Probably in the area of 20,000 starting to cheer the Blizzard because they've come to life. Good play by Bogey to come back and strip the ball away from Busby. Nice pass, Davis. Beautiful layoff by Giorgio. Marinho leads it for Etherington. Toronto there defensively.
That's a hard pass for Francisco to give. First of all, Gary had two players running with him, and secondly, it was hit up into that slight gale that's blowing in from that end of the field.
Davis, referee lets him play out because it was advantage Cosmos. He passed it behind Kinaya. Ricky hit Busby from behind. The referee let him play on because, again, this time it was Toronto's advantage. Look out. Got on goal. And sliding past the goal was Peter Lorimer. Toronto applying pressure. The Cosmos lead 1-0. Time remaining 36:25. And now the crowd is alive because the blizzard is alive. And now a foul on Lorimer. Fouling Marinho.
Toronto seems to have come out in the second half with a lot more intensity than they showed in the first half, especially after Semenyo scored the goal, and it seems to be paying off. They're doing what we did most of the first half, is beating us to the ball, to those 50-50 balls, and it seems to be working.
Quinaglia. Weisbergen with the ball. Formoso to Alberto, his own 35. Carlos long crossfield. Now this will get in the wind. And a foul has been called on Etherington. Etherington fouling Rowe.
Well, they're playing with more intensity. I think that's true, but they're also playing with a bit more purpose. Instead of these long, hopeful balls from 40 yards out, they're penetrating a bit more down the flanks, and so the crosses have a bit more direction, a bit more purpose than they had in the first half. Plus, as I said, they are throwing more players forward. It's a bit risky, but they've got to go for goals here at home.
It's a good idea. Formoso knocked it away from Lorimer. I agree with you, Seamus. I think they are playing with a lot more purpose. And they're pushing people forward as well. Lorimer. Yassine. And they're going to say corner kick, I believe. Yassine went over to the goal line.
That was a header. Riesberg just got his head on it, and luckily Yassine was very quick off his mark and just got to the ball but landed out of bounds.
All right, the corner kick. Nice header by Bogey. Nice defensive play by Bogey. Now it's lobbed back in the box for Yassine. Fine defensive play that time by Bogey.
And also, again, in view, one of the basic principles of defense, when the corner kick is cleared out in the air, all defenders must immediately rush out, and in order to pull some Toronto players offside. So the ball that was lobbed back into Arrow was no problem at all because nobody was there.
Alberto's pass picked off. Gibbs to Lorimer. Back to Bone, now with Alberto. In front, and Bobby Smith gave a corner away to get it out of danger. Corner kick. And this crowd here again cheering as they feel their blizzard are really on top of their game, and they are. Nice play, Yassine. Errol Yassine. From Toronto, the Cosmos on top of the Toronto Blizzard, 1-0, 33-11 to play in the game. Will return. Marvelous Warner Ross, Seamus Mallet. Now just under 32 minutes to play in the match. Toronto. Lorimer. What a chance. He shanked it. Lorimer shanked it. The fans not too happy with Mr. Lorimer's effort. The Cosmos and the soccer camps of America, well, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, now this is the kind of chance that Peter Lorimer used to just bury in the back of the net, and that's a rather sad effort from him because, as you said, in the past, that would have been no problem for him.
The Cosmos Soccer Camps of America are happy to sponsor the finest of soccer instruction this summer with their camps for boys and girls ages 7 to 18. For information on the Giorgio Quinaglia Soccer Academy, the Warner Ross Soccer Safari, and the Pelé Soccer Camps, call area code 212-265-7315. Right now the numbers here, 1-0 Cosmos. And a foul against Toronto. 30 minutes, 54 seconds to play in the game. Cosmos on top, 1-0. Sanino goal. First half. Etherington.
This is Etherington.
Sanino again.
Headed away by Rowe. The ball.
Toronto winning the ball. Ivair, Bobby Smith manhandling Ivair.
Kiss. Calvert.
Marinho intercept. Bogey back to Alberto. Cosmos hanging in here in the second half, withstanding the Toronto pressure so far and maintaining their 1-0 lead. Now hoping to get some. Oh, hard tackle and a foul on Busmead Marinho.
Well, just in that 30 seconds of play, they began to recover a little bit of their previous composure. Now here the late tackle from Busby.
Marinho,
He did catch Marinho just above the ankle there, I think. But as I was saying, they were just beginning to regain a little bit of that composure that they needed. Werner was talking earlier about how players were running into positions well in the first half. Well, they seem to have lost that momentarily under the assault from Toronto, and what the Cosmos need to do now is to pick up that intensity, to start moving off the ball more, to just spraying the ball around the park, regaining their touch and regaining the opportunity to move other players into good attacking positions. But if you start trying to take shortcuts, if you start trying to hit long balls which are not on, or you start being too cautious in the middle of the field, then these mistakes come.
Good crowd, as you see here in Toronto, despite the cold weather. Of course, this isn't cold weather for these people, Warner, right? This is the summertime for them. It's only 30 degrees.
I see some of them in the crowds with short-sleeve shirts on, Jim, and sunglasses. I don't know.
I'm freezing. Marinho trying to play it in for Quinaya. Broken up by Franks. Ricky Davis did a good job of shielding the man off the ball. Now the linesman said give the ball to Toronto. Weisbergen away from Bone. Now what's the call going to be? Foul against Weisbergen. Free kick from the 35-yard line. Lorimer. 29-17 to play in the match.
Referee just taking the yellow card out. I think it may be Santi who's the victim. Excessive criticism of the referee, I think.
15-42.
I believe last touch by Ricky Davis. It'll be a corner. Ricky Davis or Bobby Smith will be a corner kick Toronto.
I think that was another indication of the wind now. What's happened is the second half we've been playing into the wind, where we had it to an advantage the first half, and it seems to be affecting our game just a little bit.
All right, now this corner kick, keep in mind, will be going into the wind, so this will hang a little bit. Lift up the crossbar. Cosmos very fortunate there. The man that hit the crossbar, I believe, was Willie McBee, number 5, a defender. Yes.
Well, a little mistake in coverage there. He cut in between two players. I think it was Gary Etherington and Marinho, one of whom obviously should have picked him up.
They're going to make him throw the ball in again. Toronto trailing the Cosmos 1-0. They've had the play here in the second half. Now Alberto pointing a finger at Busby. Alberto having a few words for Busby as you see Lorimer ready to throw it in. Lorimer is sneaking forward. Now he finally throws the ball in 5 yards further in front of where he should have. Bogey's volleyed it high in the air over our camera on the sidelines. It'll be a Toronto throw-in. Lorimer, long throw in the box. Look out. Lorimer deflected away. Shot. What a save. What a save by Yassin. The save of the game. I believe Gibbs took that shot.
A great volley by Gibbs. And look at this tremendous dive by Yassin. He knocks it down and amazingly manages to get up and still hold on to it, despite the attentions of Bone.
All right, Formoso. And the Cosmos come on the attack. Marinho's knocked down again by Busby. The Cosmos' next home game this Sunday, May the 6th against Houston. Game time, 2:30. First 20,000 youngsters will receive a free Cosmos color poster. Compliments of Sports Phone. Excitement time in Toronto. The Cosmos by 1-0. 26:35 to play in the game. Free kick. Alberto. Bogey shielding his man away, but it's broken up.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's attendance.
Marinho.
A Toronto North American
Formoso.
soccer record.
Record crowd tonight here in Toronto.
29,483. The Blizzard, thank you very much.
Kinaya's back heel is picked off. Toronto. It'll be a Cosmos throw-in at the Toronto 35 right sideline. Ricky Davis. Kinaya. Shot. Henderson. Davis servicing Kinaya that time, and the Cosmos finally get a shot on goal here in the second half.
I think that Giorgio's first shot of the game, I think, too. I don't know if he had one in the first half.
Weisberger. Beautiful control of that ball as he just flicked it off the side of his foot to Alberto and back to Yassin. Some save by Yassin moments ago on that Gibbs shot that could have tied this game. You see Toronto's aggressiveness now.
Now it's Formoso.
Formoso. Marinho had it knocked away. Cosmos throw. Toronto trying to steal the throw-in, and the linesman and the referee wouldn't buy it. Gibbs stole it. Marinho got it back. Formoso has to play it back to Alberto. And back to Yassin.
You notice Toronto's been playing it very tight this half, especially defensively, and I think it's one of the reasons the Cosmos have been having trouble getting into the Toronto half. Defensively, they've been playing very tight man-to-man, just like that kind of marking.
Header by
It's been working
McBee
for
to
them very well.
Lorimer.
Peter Lorimer drops it back
Back
for
to
Peter Rowe.
Rowe. To Busby.
Albert,
Back to Rowe. The long ball for Ivair, but Bobby Smith has won it again. Wonderful game by Bobby Smith on defense tonight. Etherington, Marinho. Cosmos to the midfield line. Marinho's ball, a beauty to Ricky Davis. Nicely to Senino. Davis goes down. Senino plays it for Kinaya. Giorgio beats one man. Played it on the left side here over the near sideline. Busby was there to tackle him and bother him. Time remaining, 24 minutes in the match. Cosmos 1, Toronto nothing. Cosmos next game at home, Sunday afternoon, 2:30. Still good seats for that one.
Charlie Mitchell feeds it up.
Steal by Marinho. Ivair with it. Back to Lorimer at midfield. The Blizzard. In the box again. Yassin had to punch it away. Headed back in. And this time Gibbs couldn't get much on it. And Yassin had to venture out and punch it over the far sideline. Well, you know, Yassin's not cold. He's very warm. He's been very active in this second half. Weisberger headed it. Ivair chased out of the box by Bobby Smith. A nice little back heel. Broken up by Ricky Davis.
And Davis takes it.
Davis for Senino. Broken up by Charlie Mitchell. Will be Cosmos throw-in.
It'll be Cosmos throw-in. Davis.
Marinho with the ball. Just cleared it. That just shows you the pressure the Cosmos have been under, Werner and Seamus.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a result of that or just Marinho's frustration that two players simultaneously taking themselves out of the game, tying up their shoelaces.
Alberto volleys it out. Rowe beats Etherington, who comes back to trip him. It's been a tough physical game.
Well, Gary cannot let himself be pushed around, and he did try to make a tackle from behind, but did obviously take down Rowe.
22 minutes remaining in the match. Lorimer, a three-man wall set up. He goes to the far post, and Bobby Smith has won it in the air again, and a foul has been called. Busby tried to beat Bobby Smith in the air, and there are not too many players who are going to beat Bobby Smith in the air.
Not many, and he tried it the only way he could was by climbing up Bobby's back, and that's what the referee called on him.
Alberto. Davis scrambling it away from Ivair. Charlie Mitchell plays it back. Sinino applying pressure. They'll have to get it back to Henderson. 1-0 to Cosmos. 21.5 minutes to play in the match. And Busby with a great opportunity. Hit it over the top. From Toronto, the score still stands. The Cosmos won, the Blizzard nothing, 21-12 to play in the game. Cosmos, Toronto with another offensive surge. Toronto wins it with Rowe. Intercepted by Bogey. Bogey, Etherington, Kinaya. Sinino, nice move. Got Kinaya trailing. Sinino, good move to the left corner. Under pressure, back to Etherington. Geary has to tackle away out of bounds. Good defensive play made by Willie McVie. Now they're going to give the ball to Toronto.
Explain that one to me.
If you would like to arrange for an outing for your business, social, or sports group at the Cosmos home games, call 212-265-7315 and ask for group sales. Cosmos protecting a 1-0 first half lead here in the second half. Sinino the goal if you're just tuning our way. Beautiful pass from Bogey. Cosmos played a fine first half. Toronto's played an excellent second half. Sinino lays it off for Giorgio. And Etherington had the pass go behind him. 18:40 to play. Over the sideline, give it to the Cosmos.
Well, Giorgio and Gary just have had their problems tonight. They're not reading each other properly. They're playing balls behind each other, and the runs into space are coming in anticipation of passes that are not being made. And it's one of those things that happens when players don't really communicate that well and haven't had a chance to play a lot together.
It's Gary's first start of the year. Then he toured Franz Beckenbauer Eskandarian back in New York. Did not make the trip. Bobby Smith. Sinino. Always active. Sinino always forcing the defender's hand.
He uses his speed very well, and he reads the game very well. He reads passes back, and by using his speed, sometimes intercepts passes back from defenders to the keeper.
Ivair, and luckily for the Cosmos, Alberto, as usual, is back to clear it away, but they had to give away a corner to do it. Carlos Alberto, who's really been under pressure, anchoring the Cosmos defense in the second half. El Yassin in the goal. Near post corner. That's the second time they've done that. Weisberger knocked it over the goal line. Some of our fans here in Toronto, in the crowd of over 27,000, they tried a near post corner at the end of the first half, and it was dangerous. This time the Cosmos read it. Far post this time. Went over everyone's head as they got caught up in the wind. And now it's Madinho just banging the ball out. Again, when you get in that position under pressure, you do nothing fancy. That's not the time to win a skills contest. Toronto, as usual, pressing. Madinho chesting. Bogey. Stolen. Formoso knocked it over the near sideline. Throw in Toronto. Time remaining 16.5 minutes. So for 29 minutes or so, Toronto has put the pressure on the Cosmos in this second half. And they keep it on.
Back to Mitchell.
Ivair. It belongs to Toronto. Rowe to throw it into the Cosmo 35. Bobby Smith and Ivair. Bobby Smith fouled him.
Bobby felt he was being obstructed there. Felt he was being held off the play by Ivair. The referee giving Ivair the benefit of the doubt on that one.
In the box. Headed. Just past the goal. Again, Toronto, very dangerous. All of a sudden, those balls that were going in the box in the first half weren't dangerous. Now they're all dangerous.
They're much better directed, and they're bringing up the tall players to challenge players like Sandy. There you see it. Because, again, McVie and Franks are coming up, and they're picking up players like Davis, and they're picking up Santy, and they've got a tremendous advantage over those players. So it's intelligent crosses as opposed to the random crosses of the first half.
The ball a much lower trajectory as well. They're not just lobbing the ball up in the air and letting the wind catch it. Alberto to hit it.
Alberto unwinds it.
Gibbs plays it back for Mitchell. Etherington caused Mitchell to knock it over the sideline. May the 16th, that's a week from this Wednesday, Coventry City of England. A fine English First Division team with Stevie Hunt at the stadium. You want to get tickets for that. 9 o'clock game.
Bogicevic.
Some other great international games coming up. Bayern Munich will be in later on, and so will Argentina. They say play on that time.
Amazing.
That was an amazing call. Alberto. Beautiful little back heel to Sonny Formoso.
Now here's a chance now. Now they got some space to work with.
Marinho. Turning Calvert around. Calvert deflected the ball. Marinho, they're going to call offside against Quinaya. 14 and a half minutes to play in the match. The Cosmos hanging on 1-0, trying to win their 6th straight game. The only undefeated team in the North American Soccer League.
Good
and we
chance
talked
there,
about
though.
team balance, Seamus, and I think this game proves just how much balance there is in this league.
Well, every away game and even some of the home games, the Cosmos know that they're in a battle. Nobody's going to give them a victory.
They play, as Ricebergen told Werner Roth, they play 150% against the champions.
They do, and we've had this happen to us for the last 2-3 years already.
Lorimer with the long throw-ins. Bobby Smith got in front, headed it over the sideline. Bobby Smith, a very important factor here tonight. Headed away again. That was Bobby Smith again, volleyed out by Formoso. I don't think I've ever seen Cosmos have to volley the ball out of their own area as much as they have in the second half. Now some room. Marinho was looking for Quinaya. The pass just too far.
That's too bad. That's the second time in a row that Marinho has had a little space in front of him with Giorgio breaking, and on each occasion the final pass has just been a bit off.
Yassin. Now the referee, how they feel that Busby got up. Busby was asking for a foul. He thought that Ricebergen had hit him.
Well, but the referee's hand is up in the air, which should mean indirect free kick. Yeah, you see the collision there between Bobby Smith and Busby. And Busby goes down. So if anything, it's obstruction, which is indirect.
Indirect in the box. The last time this happened to the Cosmos, Jomo Sono scored a goal in Atlanta. The time before that, I remember, was in the Washington game last year, and Hiddink scored a goal. So Cosmos are going to have to figure out a way to stop these, and they're also going to have to be alert, because in the Atlanta game, you'll remember, there was a lot of arguing and pull the wall back and everything. All of a sudden, the ball was tapped over to Sono, and he knocked it in the net.
There's definitely a very dangerous situation, Jim. You see there's almost 20 bodies in that penalty area right in front of the goal there. So many things can happen. A shot can be taken. Yassin can be shielded. It can go off another player. It's just almost impossible to defend constructively against this type of a situation.
And now a yellow card against the Cosmos for arguing. That looks like a football huddle, an American football huddle with a quarterback. All right, let's see what they do now. Indoor kick. Shot of the Cosmos aggressively, came out to knock it down. Good defensive play by the Cosmos there. And now they intercept, and Cedinho coming to Cosmos, counterattacking. Cedinho. Good pass to Etherington. In on goal. Shot! Miss! The Cosmos with a brilliant counterattack move that time. Cedinho with a beautiful ball. Etherington could not convert it.
This is really unfortunate. Here you see Gary breaking through. He's got a lot of space, and unfortunately he hits it with the outside of his right foot, whereas I think he could have side-footed it just right across into the far corner. He went for the near post, which really is a debatable choice, given the fact that there were two other players from the Cosmos running in on the far post.
Gentlemen, I think you're going to see the Cosmos with more space on that kind of a play in the last 12-12. We've seen Marinho a couple of times, and that time, of course, Cedinho. But now, with time ticking away, Toronto's going to have to even be more venturesome up front, and the Cosmos could very well have a counterattack chance. Right now it's Mitchell. They don't call handball. Yes, they do. Handball against Etherington, a good call. 11:45 to play in the match. Jim Carvelis, Seamus Mellon, and Werner Roth. Exhibition Stadium. Look at the wind blowing the ball.
Mitchell will feed it in for the Blizzard.
The ball is still moving. If they let it alone, he'll probably end up with a corner kick. High in the box. Yassin is out. Yassin has made the play. Errol Yassin, who's been wonderful on the high balls all year long, Werner Roth.
Yeah, this is where you see Yassin's gotten a lot more confidence in his game. He comes out. He knows when to come out. He comes out at the right time. He makes up his mind, and he's very determined about it. And it's been one of the reasons why he's been so effective in the last 5-6 games for us.
Cedinho's pressure against Rowe caused Rowe to knock it over the sideline. 10:54 to play in the match. Bogey, whose wonderful assist gave the Cosmos their chance for the only goal with this man, Cedinho, in the first half. Cedinho, always dangerous. Ivair made a good defensive play. Cedinho got it back again. And now it's won by Bobby Smith. Let's see if Etherington can save it. He can. Nice play by Gary. Gives it up nicely to Marinho, whose long ball is looking for Quinaglia. Giorgio shielding his man from the ball. Now has to tackle over the near sideline, throwing Cosmos.
Giorgio actually did quite well there. He had 3 men around and nobody to pass to. You had to wait for some help. And, you know, the Cosmos still have possession.
Sonny Formoso. Sonny's ball was intended for Ricky Davis over the sideline. Toronto has attacked this entire second half. There's Wim Ricebergen. Ricebergen goes down. Bone is free. Ricebergen still on the sideline on one knee. And defensive play made over there by Gary Etherington. Ricebergen slow in getting up. He's on his feet. It's a bit shaken up.
Charlie Mitchell.
Broken up nicely by Ricky Davis to clear it. Ricebergen still being attended to, and the Cosmos, in effect, are playing with 10 men. And the referee did not call, the linesman did not call offsides on that play, and I can't believe it.
No, that was incredible. It clearly was offside, and not only that, it looked like the referee was going to award a corner kick, but he's changed his mind. There
Clearly
you see
offside.
Bone. Well, a little hard to tell from the replay because, of course, his position when the ball is played in his direction is what matters, not when he gets it. But even so, it did look, from this point of view, that he was offside.
That's as free as Bone has been, and the reason he was free was that Ricebergen was being attended to. As we have a look at Jimmy Bone now, who's in the penalty area, and he was a bit shaken up as well. Well, Cosmos Sunday, excuse me, Shane, Sunday against Houston, 2:30 game, Giants Stadium. Expecting a big crowd to see Kyle Rowe Jr. and surprising Houston Hurricane.
Nice to see them doing well. Coach Timo Lukoski, a product of that wonderful system up there in Hartwick College in Oneonta, New York, doing very well in the pro ranks now.
Quinaglia, Etherington chasing the ball. Henderson will get to it first. So we're fighting a lot of weather conditions. We're fighting the blizzard here tonight, the hurricane Sunday, and it's cold as heck in Toronto tonight.
Very good, Jim. I know that
You like that, huh? Where have you been the last 10 minutes? I didn't even know Warner was here, man. I didn't realize he's freezing to death next to me. Warner off. And Warner, as much as we enjoy having you up here, we really wish that you get back on the field as quickly as possible.
I just have to stop being so clumsy on the field.
All right, in the box again. Bogey deflected it away. Davis, nice play to get out. Knocked down by Bogey.
Lukasevich.
Bogey at great control. Bogey's something. Davis. Nice ball. Formoso with space on the left.
Formoso.
Bogey.
Back.
Marinho. Cosmo starting to control a little bit the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, I think that's what we have to do more. We have to create more space for ourselves. We haven't really been moving that much off the ball the second half.
Reisbergen is back on the field, and Bone knows it. All right, here's Lorimer inside the Cosmo 35. The cross to the head of the box. Bobby Smith coming out and knocked it away from Busby. Nice play by Bobby Smith again.
Away by Smith.
Now the Cosmos coming.
Senino.
Senino with that great quickness. Senino. Etherington. Kinaya. Etherington. You cannot save it. 7 minutes to play in the match. The Cosmos on top, 1-0 on a Senino goal in the first half.
Same problem again there. Giorgio led Gary very nicely, but Gary just didn't read it quickly enough and didn't move sharply forward as he should have been doing.
Gibbs to the outside, deflects it off Alberto over the goal line. Another corner kick coming up. 6.5 minutes to play in the match. 1-0 the Cosmos. Exciting soccer. Cosmos soccer, the most exciting soccer. Lorimer with the corner. Headed down to Yassin. Headed down by Colin Franks. Here's Kinaya, the Cosmos counter-attacking. He's got Senino wide open on the other side. He goes to Etherington. And now to Bogey. 6 minutes to play in the match. Bogey for Giorgio. Senino with a loose ball. Now to Marinho. Marinho got it over on the right side. Missed it by about 5 yards. 6:45 to play in the match. Cosmos 1. Toronto Blizzard nothing.
That's too bad. There's a lot of good work done there in setting up that chance. And a lot of players had made some unselfish runs to create some openings, and it's too bad that Francisco Marinho's shot was not one of his better ones.
So Keith Eddy, the ex-Cosmos captain,
Number 26.
his club has played the Cosmos very well. Ronnie Atanasio comes in the game now for the Cosmos.
For Gary Etherington, who's gone out holding his ankle, so he may have gotten a knock again on that suspect ankle.
Reisbergen and Bone battling again. And there's Bobby Smith to break it up again. Again, what a tremendous game Bobby Smith has played. Busby header, but Reisbergen obstructed him just enough, Warner.
Just enough. It seems Reisbergen is always in the right place at the right time. And getting back to Bobby Smith, I think not only is he playing a good game, but you have to give him a lot of credit for playing the type of game he is with the injuries that he's just overcome.
All right, Cosmos, Alberto, under 5 minutes to play in the match now. So Atanasio just into the game. Well, Bobby Smith has played an outstanding game tonight. Here's a long shot. We're going to have our Schaefer player of the match. And There might be some discussion on who the selectee is, at least from the announcers upstairs. Errol Yassin has played an outstanding game. He's come up with some terrific saves.
Definitely, especially in the second half, Jim, when they've been putting everything. Toronto, you have to give them a lot of credit. They came out that second half, and they really wanted to take the game to us. And Yassin and Bobby Smith and Riceburn have been instrumental in thwarting all of the attacks.
Under 4 minutes to play in the match now. Alberto. Maninho. Stolen by Calvert. And Toronto still pressing forward to Ivair. Nothing called. Play on. Atanasio. Back to Ronnie. Knocked over the sideline by Peter Rowe. It'll be a Cosmos throw in with 3:20 to play in the match.
It's very difficult to come into a game like this under these weather conditions for Ronnie Atanasio. In the last 10 minutes of the game, everybody's warm and going 100 miles an hour, and it seems like it's very hard for him to get into the game at this point.
Here's Atanasio on the throw-in, getting free. Nice cross outside. Marinho trying to flick it to Quinaya. Toronto with a defensive play. Ricky Davis wins it for the Cosmos. Santi Formoso is pulled down. Nothing called there either. And now Davis is pushed down. Nothing called there. Unbelievable. Turned into a rugby match.
What happened to the ref?
Bobby Smith is still with it. And now Bobby Smith is going to be called. 2.5 minutes to play in the game. Everything dangerous here. Toronto's got everyone up now. No. Cross outside. Shot over the top. That was McVie. Had a good opportunity there.
Well covered by Errol. Yassin had it well covered, though. Looked more dangerous than it really was.
And now Ricky Davis is pushed by Ivair.
Very cool. Ricky Davis doesn't retaliate. As the referee always sees the retaliation. Just walks away from it.
The Schaefer Circle most valuable player, Vladislav Bogicevic. I think we'll have some argument upstairs, gentlemen. Some argument. There have been some votes for Bobby Smith as well. Racing from Roosevelt will follow this Cosmos broadcast. I would think there'd be a couple of outstanding players tonight. I would say Bobby Smith for sure, and Errol Yassin.
Very difficult to give this MVP to one particular player tonight because there have been so many good
defensive performances,
definitely, and I think Bogey probably one of the better offensive players of today's game.
Cosmos scored a goal in the first half. Senino from Bogicevic. Now ball awarded to Toronto. Time remaining, a minute 25. Charlie Mitchell tees it up. Bogey wasting time. The official tells him to get away. Bogey got a yellow card.
I think the official was just stopping the clock. Okay. I don't think he pulled a card.
Deflected by Senino. Nice play, Senino. Bogey, good to Atanasio. Cosmos trying to run out the clock now. Atanasio inside the 35 to Giorgio. Knocked away from him by McVie. Giorgio, nice job to shield his man away and keep the ball for the Cosmos. Broken up. Look at Bobby Smith. Dangerous. Kick high in the air. Now they call a foul on the Cosmos with 50 seconds. That was on Bogey.
And we know a lot of things can happen in the last 50 seconds of games. We've seen it this year.
In the last 15 seconds of the game.
That's right.
We saw it in our last telecast. I hope I don't see it again for the rest of my life. Fans now want Toronto to put it in play. They do to the 35-yard line. They keep it in. Here comes in the box, Alberto, saving header. Bogey stayed with it, and it was cleared by Marinho. 13 seconds on the clock. Cosmos have had a battle here tonight, but it's always a battle, especially on the road. Toronto with 5 seconds. Beautiful scissors to clear. Marinho. No time remaining on the clock. Official time kept by the referee, and that is it. And the Cosmos have survived here in Toronto. They played an outstanding first half. They scored the game's only goal. And in the second half, they were under pressure the entire 45 minutes, but the defense held rock solid. Great performances by Bobby Smith and Ricebergen and Alberto. And the Cosmos win it 1-0. They're still undefeated. We'll be back in a moment.